All right, welcome back, League fanboys and fangirls, to another episode of Running Down Mid. As always, I'm your boy Exile, and with me is my right hand man Funzy. And man, week one is in the books, and holy crap!
I have got to say, maybe the break was not good for some teams.
So last season's bottom four teams minus TL is this season's top four teams, and the top four teams are now sitting in basically the bottom four. Again, minus TL, beating out TSM for that, securing that bottom tier team.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So it didn't take long for them to boot G4. I cried and died a little inside because I really wanted to watch TL. I told everybody to watch TL. I was thinking, man, TL, they're going to flip the script. They're going to come back. TL, you disappointed me. You got rid of G4. He was gone. Just and they put in Slooshy. So they throw in Slooshy and so I guess maybe next week we'll see Midlet again. Are we going to come back to that?
You have to give Slooshy props. He at least won a game.
He won a game. Dude, I don't know what's going on, but 4G, man, I die and I cry inside, man. I'm sorry. You had a good pro career, I guess.
Hey, you got to play against Faker in Korea.
So good for you. Like, hang your hat on that because we don't have anything else to celebrate as far as Team Liquid goes. So my going back to bashing Team Liquid on a daily basis or a weekly basis is going to happen on this show until they do something to turn it around. Dude, for shame, man. You had my hopes up and you broke my heart, TL. I'm so sad about that.
And unfortunately, there's no double lift waiting in the wings to be called up to help them. So
and more on that later because there's actually some new rule changes. I'm sure everybody's heard by now, but we'll get to that towards the end. Also breaking my heart, C9. What your boys doing? It's like they didn't they didn't watch MSI. They didn't learn anything. I don't know what's going on. I understand you putting in Ray, and I understand you sticking with Ray. I get that. Impact's injured. He's not going to be around.
Impact wasn't even in the country. I think he was still on vacation.
Yeah, so I get sticking with Ray and putting it in, and you got to build that stuff around Ray, but holy crap, they didn't play like any meta, anything. They looked good. One game, they came out and laid it hard.
Seeing Cloud9 go 0-2 the first week was probably the hardest disappointment than even TSM going 1-1.
Nah.
Because it is not a team you would expect that, and it's only week one. Let's just be honest. It's only week one.
It's only week one.
You gotta get the dust off. You gotta learn from your mistakes.
I get that, but
we were at this place at the beginning of spring split when TSM went 1-1, and we were like, oh no, they gave up games that they shouldn't. Are they going to be any good?
I get that, and I get it's overreaction Monday, but it's overreaction Monday because they're my team, and I just felt bad. It didn't seem like they did anything. And honestly, if anybody's watching, any pro is watching right now, when you play against CLG, how about you ban Caitlyn? So Stixay doesn't play his favorite champion all the time. Because guess what? He's pretty good at Caitlyn. He's a Caitlyn man.
Actually, I think CLG fired on all cylinders. It wasn't It wasn't just a one person team.
It was a 4-man team. So they survived and did really well this weekend by a great team strategy that I don't know if it's going to last all split. Because it hinges on sacrificing the Dardoch. That guy already has the most deaths as a jungle. Again, he had 19 deaths in 4 games. That's a lot. He died a lot. All they did was go, all right, we're going to center our team strategy around this idea. Dardoch's going to go in and try to get a kill. We're going to let him die and then mop up. Hey, it worked really well for 2 games.
When you have a Dardoch, you use that over-aggression to your benefit, sir.
And they did. So both teams, and I'm talking Immortals and CLG, took their new acquisitions and planned around them well. Immortals did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They're going to use his experience,
his slower play, his
team synergy.
Yep.
He facilitated. He passed out all the kills. He funneled all of his attention into Pobelter.
And
Pobelter hardcore carried like he wanted to, and they came out winning big time. So he doesn't need to carry. He doesn't need to do anything. All he has to do is be a good teammate and pass around the
you can see that. If you would have asked us last split who was the weakest link on Immortals, it was Pobelter and the fact that he couldn't carry.
Exactly.
And it was because he had somebody like Dardoch and Rain over who wanted to carry, who thought that they had to carry because they were the better player.
Dardoch and Flame.
No. Reignover was the previous.
Oh, previous. Yeah, that's true.
So they had Dardoch in the jungle stealing a lot of kills, including almost every first blood he can get his hands on.
And then dying a lot.
And then dying because of his over-aggression and not having a team that was really willing to get behind him and do what we saw CLG doing.
Man, CLG did great.
So it's really a twofold thing for them, and I'm happy to see Pole Belter actually showing how good he really is, because that's one smart mid laner. You have to realize that he is levels beyond some of the other mid laners in the lower tier teams because of his not only good gameplay and mechanics, but the fact that he seems like he's like 3 or 4 moves ahead of some other people.
So he does have a high game IQ, a high mid laner game IQ, and it really showed
in his charms.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, it really showed. I told you that Immortals was a team to watch. I really did. I really feel like this isn't a one and done week 1. CLG, if they can continue the same team strat, if they can go, all right, we're going to sacrifice the Dardoch. This is what he wants to do. He wants to go in. If he gets the kills, great. And if he doesn't, we're just going to sacrifice the Dardoch and mop up. If they still do that and they still follow through with that, man, they're in like Flynn. Like, right now, if you don't ban Stixay's Caitlyn and let him play, he's undefeated on that champ so far this season because that's all anybody's let him play. And really, right now, the meta shifted hardcore for Afromoo to really capitalize. If he's on his roam heavy utility supports like Bards, like Namis, like
that kill he got on Bard.
He's so
that
good.
Lorlo to deflect the Bard ultimate, and then to have Bard journey into the tower and get him with the stun and finish him off. I did not see that coming. I thought he was gone. I was like, oh, you'll never catch her.
I really feel like Bard is a pocket pick for Afromoo. He's probably the best NA Bard player, but a lot of people are trying to play Bard, and and he's doing really well. I really think that the meta shifted prime to him. Last season, I would have said CLG's biggest, weakest link was Darshan, and they did the jungle change, and right now, Darshan was playing really well. The team all around had the idea of, we're gonna let Dardoch kick in the front door, guns a-blazing, and we'll just pick up the pieces afterwards. Like, if he goes in and he Neos and kills everybody and straight matrixes it up, then they're all good with that. But if he goes in there and gets blasted, they're also all good with that because he makes so much of an explosion that the after effects are easy pickings.
And not only that, they have the experience behind him and the confidence in the other players to follow up aggression like that. And that, I think, is the biggest change between his last team and this team.
Yeah.
Is the confidence of play that centered around him.
It's also team synergy. If he cannot flame his teammates and they all keep a cool head, CLG actually might be a force to reckon with. But if other teams are able to tilt a Dardoch, and literally if I was on another team, that's what I would do, is focus poking him to death. If they can tilt a Dardoch and make him flame his team, I think that's the way to beat him right now.
Okay, well, we can't talk about CLG and Immortals without bringing up Echo Fox and Dig.
So let's talk about Echo Fox and the fact that they said they're only going to scrim their academy team, their challenger team, and then they drop the bombs of all bombs. And man, so let's name off their Delta Fox challenger scrub team. I'm a Cutie Pie.
Yeah, Cutie Pie ADC. Skara is support. Voyboy mid. Dyrus top.
And Shifter.
Yeah,
and we'll throw the Mark Z as their coach.
Yeah. I do not know how he talked them into it. I don't know if maybe they just got bored streaming and they were like, hey guys, let's get together and become the Justice League of League of Legends.
So Dyrus had a interview where he said that Rick Fox approached him like Rick Fox approaches anything. And what did we say last season? That we love Rick Fox as an owner, that he really gets behind his team. So he's like, yeah, you boys, you don't live at the house. Stream. Live across the... I mean, Dyrus lives in Texas, for crying out loud. I mean, these guys are all over the place. I'm pretty sure I'm a Cutie Pie's in, like, Washington or something like that. Like, they're all over the place. And Rick Fox is like, we're just going to stream and get together, and we're going to
fly you in when you have to play.
Yeah,
and
it's really amazing that Dyrus didn't go into details of who's doing what. He didn't go into details of money. But, yeah, you see what polarizing force Rick Fox is, and we've said it time and time again that we love him as an owner. I would love to play for him. We've said it on this show several times that we would love to play for him. He really seems like he's a player's owner. Like, he's in it for the players.
I think it's his
awesome.
history as being a player and being on the other side of the fence. He knows exactly what it takes to motivate a player to come join your organization.
And by player, we mean obviously not esports player. He was an NBA star, but I mean, he has that. He was one of the first big people to invest in the sport as an outsider, not as a former esports player or anything like that. So, I mean, it's really interesting. Hats off to him for going 2-0. Hats off to former Dignitas. I'm a Cutie Pie's old team. So, I mean, it's really great to see such an excellent start to week one. Granted, it is week one and there's a lot more to go, but man, it's really good to see Immortals, Echo Fox, Dignitas, CLG, and heck, even Team Envy got themselves a win, something that C9 couldn't do this week.
I actually am going to take a snapshot of the standings week one and just keep it for Envy. So when the end of the split comes, I can have proof that they weren't last.
Oh, man.
We could be like, hey, Envy, remember when you had the good old days? Week one of the LCS summer split?
So
if I end up eating these words and Envy goes on to win the summer split, it becomes the team that represents us at Worlds and makes it all the way to the finals.
We're gonna meme it.
I'm done. I'm just done.
We're gonna go to Boston. We're gonna go to the finals, and Jason here is gonna wear a Lyra Envy jersey the whole weekend. Like, yeah, fanboy it up.
Yeah, and I'll never take it off.
Never take it off. But it's amazing. But with that being said, teams like Envy or TL no longer have to worry about relegations because. That's gone.
Yeah.
Franchise. So next year, franchising, anybody that wants to own a team has to apply. You have to have $10 million. You have to fill an entire team roster, all of its subs, an entire academy team, and all of its subs. And by academy is now going to be the new challenger. So no more challenger series. It's going to be academy series. So teams are going to have their full roster, their academy team. No more team poaching. So no more, hey, we might get relegated. We need a double lift. Pick him up. Or, hey, you're having trouble with your jungle. Well, you can take a Meteos. Like, no more of that. You have to either pull them from your subs or bump them up from your academy team. No more just buying contracts outright because there's also now player associations.
And with the Players Association comes a minimum salary. So that means anybody who is playing on a pro level in the LCS,
sub included,
is going to make the minimum salary of $75K a year, which that's not that bad.
That's a good chunk of change for a guy that's sitting on that Pine Pony Express.
Yeah. And I don't know if that is going to apply to their challenger team, but it definitely seems like it will.
It definitely seems like it's a base sum for any professional player. So I'm saying that challenger series or academy series is professional player.
Not only that, but they're going to actually start streaming all of the academy series instead of what they're doing nowadays, where they only focus on like a handful of games in the challenger series every week. So you only really end up seeing 2 teams every week.
On top of that, the players are also, which I find really amazing, in their player bargaining agreement, is that they're going to get paid on the back end of what they make in TV revenue. So
yeah, and the revenue split is actually going to be a lot higher for teams, so you're going to see a lot more 33%, revenue.
33%.
Yeah, a lot more revenue being funneled into them.
A lot. So yeah, so these teams are going to be making bank. The players are going to be making bank. The teams are going to be invested. The only negative thing, the only downside for a team is if you are dead last, 5 splits in a row. So 2.5 seasons. If you're dead last, 5 splits in a row, you lose your right to be a team.
Yeah, but I also see it's a high buy-in, so you're going to see a lot more player investment.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more player growth. You're not going to see the turnover that we're seeing in some of the lower tier teams where they're shuffling players, where it doesn't seem like they're investing in their players. They're trying to patch holes, is what Noah said in his interview.
They didn't specify the amount of teams. So it doesn't look like they're going to be like, oh, it's just 10 teams and 10 teams only. So I'm sure that each season they'll be open to accept new teams. I don't know if they're ever going to, if they're going to cap it or what.
They did set a criteria, and the criteria is that they're not just looking for people who can afford to buy in. They're looking for people who are willing to invest in the league. Yep. So they're not looking for people who like, oh, I've got $10 million.
They have to have a ad revenue scheme. They have to have an advertisement scheme. They have to have,
player facilities.
They have to say how they're going to
accommodations have to be on the same tier as everybody else.
They have to have a model set up. They can't just say, hey, I got $10 million and I want to call ourselves the Rusty Buttons. Like, it can't be that. They have to have like a whole model, a whole business model before they can even apply. And even if they apply, it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to get accepted. I mean, TSM could say, hey, we're TSM and we're going to have a team. And they'd be like, no, Reggie, your business model looks bad. We don't like that. And then kick them to the curb. I doubt that would happen, but I'm just saying it's plausible.
Using that as a point of reference, it also doesn't guarantee that TSM is in the league right now, too. Everybody is going to have to go through the review process. The two heads of esports sat across from Reggie and Noah and said that to them. Yeah. Like, you're not guaranteed a spot. You can win the summer split, go on the Worlds and win Worlds, and then find yourself kicked to the curb at the beginning of spring. So, I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. It also goes hand in hand with the contract that they signed with the new broadcasters.
Exactly.
So you knew that this was kind of in the
something
works,
like this was coming.
And I am super excited to see if maybe a change of venue is in order too. Yeah. Not that I'm saying that Los Angeles is a bad place, but their servers are in Chicago. Yeah. Chicago is right dead center of the whole North America.
Yep.
Why not move to Chicago and start it fresh from Chicago?
So people before were like, oh, League of Legends is dying, and this is dying, and this is why. This is a huge investment in people and in teams, and with their TV contract, there's a lot of longevity being put into this. I don't see the league stopping literally anytime soon. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Even if player involvement in the game itself is starting to slow down, player involvement in the actual broadcasts of League is trending upward.
Yep.
So, I mean,
huge
you
upward
can't
climb.
Trend upward in one section and blame the game for another. So, obviously, if you're not good at the game, you could still watch the game and enjoy it. And that's what they're capitalizing on.
And MSI, this most recent MSI, was their most watched event ever. So you think of all the worlds and everything and how each one keeps getting bigger and bigger. Imagine Dragons writing you a theme song 2 years ago, and this MSI was the biggest watched League event ever, by like almost 4 times the amount. That's ridiculous. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of views, not a million views or 100,000, like tens of millions of views.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Unique views.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Okay, so now we're going to shift to current patch and getting ready to come out the next patch.
Yep.
The biggest thing that we want to talk about is the Doran changes.
Yeah, so what do you get when you start in your lane? Doran Shield, Doran Blade, Doran Ring. That's a given. Everybody does that. Not anymore.
Yeah, well, when an ADC is taking Doran Shield at the beginning of the game, you know something's broken.
Yep.
And they're coming back to fix those issues. The smallest change to Doran Shield that we're going to see starting next patch is they're actually increasing it by 50 gold, which you're like, oh, well, it doesn't change the stats. But that's going to be huge to a ADC who's taking that shield and giving up a pot.
Yeah.
Because although the shield will heal you,
that's max money right there. That's 500 gold.
You're losing out on the lifesteal from the Doran's Blade that actually recuperates your health. Mm-hmm. So your sustain is going to drop huge from losing that one pot. And it doesn't seem like a big change, but I feel like this is going to cause ADCs to reevaluate using Doran's Shield and bot lane.
Or reevaluate what kind of support you get, like Soraka or a Sona or a Nami or somebody
that can actually heal and keep the sustain.
You betcha.
But with that trade means you lose Poke.
Oh yeah, no,
you're dancing that fine line between
you're giving
being
up a
effective.
lot. That one pot may not seem like a lot, but it's a lot. It's the difference between backing at 3 or backing at 6. Going back and getting you a BF sword or not. I mean, that's a big difference in buybacks.
And then the next big change is in the top lane with Doran's Ring. And the change they're making there is making the actual passive a unique passive. So you're no longer to see like Galio's and Malachi's taking 2 or 3 Doran's Rings.
Spamming Qs all day long.
Yeah, and then having poke and health and being tanky and then being able to regen all that mana.
And then sacrificing that buyback because the buyback is actually pretty huge on the Dorans. Yeah.
So that change I think is gonna actually stop people from buying so many rings.
Yep.
And as a Galio player, I know for a fact that's going to hurt me.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, even on like Echoes and stuff or Fizzes, the 3-ring top lane is Singed players. I mean, we don't talk about Singed because he's not in pro scene a lot.
Well, they're also using Dark Seal a lot too. Yeah, so I mean, they may not be as effective,
but they still buy a lot of them.
Yeah,
I mean, the 3-ring stamp for an AP top laner is pretty much common. It's common meta, and that's totally going to change. Not to mention all the stuff that they have coming changing down the pipes. But man, first week 1 is in the books, and it was a crazy week 1, and I am so excited League's back. So excited for week 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good night.
Let's take a second before we sign off and talk about fantasy.
Okay.
Let's talk about the players you should be keeping an eye on.
Players to keep an eye on. All right, so top lane. Who is your number 1 top laner that you should keep an eye on?
I actually think the strong picks that for this split, because of the changes they made in fantasy, are going to be the European top laners.
Okay, so what he means by the change in the split is this year, or this split, EU players that when they only play one game, depending on how good or bad they do, they double up those points automatically. So chances are if you have a good player in EU and he's only playing one game that week, I would definitely put him in, because if he ends up doing great, you end up getting 50, 60 points because they just automatically say, oh, well, he's going to do just as good if he played an imaginary second game, which normally everybody knows is not the case, but it's a huge boost for EU. Outside of that, all of your last splits imports are doing really well. So your Somedays tearing it up.
Yeah, Someday had a really good week.
Split pushing Fiora, just knocking them dead. Your Flames, all of those imports. When Impact comes back, Ray obviously is still a guy to keep your eye on, even though they lost out. And then your crazy junglers. So Arcadian's still a solid pick. Dardoch, obviously, they've unleashed the beast. He's died a lot, but he's still getting a lot of those kills.
Any of the ADCs in your flex spot is going to be a guaranteed a lot of points.
Even Wild Turtle popped off with 40 points, and his team didn't even win a game.
Yeah.
But
you had like Arrow, Stixay, Reckless, Spin. They all were high
all
point.
Did great.
Yeah. So if you have a spot and you filled a flex spot with a mid laner, I would definitely rethink that. Even though Caps did end up getting
flex it with an ADC is obviously a good choice.
And if you can fill it with a European ADC that only has one game,
that's even better. Do it. Granted, though, the reward is excellent, but the risk is just as high because you don't have that second game to cushion you if they play bad. So, it's either or.
Take it as it is, but I honestly think that's the biggest payoff.
I think that is the best strat. So good luck to you guys and all of your fantasy action. I know that I won my first fantasy game. So did you.
Highest points of the week.
And we're going head-to-head this week, so
I'm going to
log into his computer and just start trading people away. Being like, oh, man, Jason's team's going to be all TL. Funsy TL-loving team.
So that's going to be it for this week.
Yep.
Like, share, comment. Let us know how we're doing. If you have anything you want to add about fantasy, about all the news surrounding the, changes that are going to be taking effect with next season, you let us know.
No.
Good game.
Good game, man. GG.
To unveil the newest banner to the Battle Arena and recognize our Spring Split champions, ladies and gentlemen, Team